I'm Pastor George Borghardt, and this is another Higher Things video short. Easter Vigil, that's the subject of the day's Higher Things video short. The Lord died on Good Friday. He was buried. He stayed in the tomb, hallowing all the saints on Holy Saturday. When the sun goes down on Saturday and it becomes Sunday, the vigil of Easter happens. The remembrance of our baptism, the celebration of the Lord's resurrection begins. If you've never been to a vigil service, I'm going to go through some of the themes of that today. But the important thing, the important symbol of Easter Vigil is the candle, the Paschal candle. The Paschal candle is the main symbol of the Easter Vigil service. I have an old one here because I never throw anything away because you never know when you'll need something like a Paschal candle for an example. The symbolism around the vigil service is all pointing to the resurrection of our Lord Jesus Christ and its life in its resurrection, its life in our lives. You'll notice some themes which will be traced on the candle. All right. The cross of our Lord Jesus Christ. He died for us on Good Friday and he rose again on Easter. And we're watchful of that. This is the vigil of Easter. The wounds of Christ, 5 nails in the candle for the 5 wounds of Christ, hands, feet, side. The Alpha and the Omega, for Christ is the beginning and the end. He's the beginning of faith and the end of faith and everything in between. The year, this is a 2013 candle, but the year, our times are in his hands. He is time and eternity for us. And all candles point to Christ being the light of the world, a light which scatters the darkness of death in a bright, shining resurrection on Easter. Vigil, Easter Vigil, is all about the history of God saving his people. In the vigil service, you'll hear about Abraham and Isaac and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, Daniel and the lions, the triumphant rescue of God's people in the Exodus. God's salvific work in the Old Testament you hear about in the vigil as you prepare for that moment where Christ raises from the dead and changes everything that we see about life, we know about life and death. Another one of the themes of the vigil service is baptism, the flood, and our baptism. In the ancient church, new catechumens were baptized and new members were welcomed at the vigil service. And so the vigil, with its emphasis on the Lord's resurrection and watchfulness, is a great time for baptisms and the like. And so we remember our baptisms at vigil as we stand in Lent and wait for Easter. And when the sun has gone down on the 3rd day, you see, Christ was in the tomb, dead 3 days. He died on Good Friday before the sun went down. He was buried. That's Friday, day 1. He was in the tomb all of Saturday, from Friday night to Saturday afternoon, Saturday. And then, when the sun goes down on Saturday, the 3rd day begins. Now, he rose on Easter morning, but our vigil, our celebration, begins on Saturday night when the sun goes down, because that is when Easter begins. And so there's a part in the service, the vigil service, after we've heard about all the salvific work of God in the Old Testament, all that he's done and fulfilled and promised, and we've remembered our own baptisms, and we've looked into death and life in the waters of our baptism, that the lights come on and the celebration begins with Alleluia, Jesus Christ is risen from the dead. He is risen indeed, Alleluia. And the sacrament is celebrated. And Easter is here. The Paschal candle, the symbol of the Easter Vigil service, is used on all baptisms and funerals and lit throughout the Easter season is extinguished in the Easter season at the Ascension. When our Lord ascends behind the clouds, then the candle is extinguished. A blessed vigil as you are watchful and remembering of God saving you. The one who died on Good Friday has risen from the dead. He's risen for us and for our salvation. I'm Pastor George Borghardt, and this has been another Higher Things video short.